can. First of all, thank you for joining. It's right after Labor Day. I know it's almost like the start of the week, so I really appreciate you being here. And today it's all about virtual assistants, how to get the most value out of virtual assistants. Okay, so let me start sharing here. Now, as we go, hold on. Here we are. And well, for those who don't know me, my name is Alberto Garcia Jurado. I'm the CEO of InSync here in Austin, Texas. I'm also the partner for LATAM Doers for the whole of Texas. And among other things, I am the lead organizer for Disrupt HR in Houston, and also the lead for the speakers committee here in Disrupt HR Austin. Disrupt HR is a global movement of talks for HR. So and I have other things that I do. So as you can tell, my hands are quite full. So I'm so glad to have a virtual assistant and to have had a virtual assistant for a while. It's a game changer. And today we're going to talk about virtual assistants and how to really get the most out of having a virtual assistant. Now, before going on with this, I want to talk a little bit about virtual assistants, what it is, because sometimes we think virtual assistant and we think it's some kind of AI assistant because of the word virtual. And no, a virtual assistant is a person usually. It's a person, it's a skilled professional that provides either administrative or technical or network management or creative support to clients remotely from wherever they are. Okay, this is a virtual assistant. So I got a question for everybody who's joined us so far, and you can type it in the chat if you want, or you can just open up your mic and answer, please. Along as we move forward, if you have questions or comments or anything, just open your mic and ask, or use the chat and ask any questions. It's always great when a webinar becomes a good conversation. I think that's the best kind of webinars. So, any of you already work with a virtual assistant out there? No? Okay. Right. No? Okay. Also Francisco Magaña. Good to see you. Good to see some people I know. It's good seeing you here, Francisco. So, okay, so if you don't, let's see what a virtual assistant can do, because it says it provides administrative, technical, or management or anything, but what does an administrative assistant really do? I'll show you some examples, because like I said, I have my own virtual assistant, and she's amazing, really amazing. And what does she do for me day to day? Well, let me give you some examples. Number one, when I needed a virtual assistant, I needed somebody to help me with the marketing side, with marketing and social media. And of course, also helping me with coordinating my schedule, setting up meetings, all that. So after the process and we started working together, for example, every end of the week, she designs and sends me something like this, which is the weekly content calendar for the main posts that she will be doing during the week. So as you can tell, she's very organized. She prepares the signs, all the posts, the general post. In this case, we're working with Disrupt HR Houston 4.0, so we're marketing it, selling the tickets right now, and so it's a big campaign for that, and also for the speakers. Okay, so we're gonna start doing the meet the speakers. So she sends me that. This one in particular is from last week. Okay, not this coming week, and it was that part. So it's great. Every Friday we sit down. She sends it to me before I have a chance to see it. Then we coordinate. But for example, she also takes care of all the chats and the congratulations and everything in my LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn. We use Instagram also to promote and to post, but my main tool for connecting with my network is LinkedIn. So she does things like this. Happy birthday, Amanda. Wishing you have a wonderful celebration and the next 12 months are full of blessings. Thank you so much, Alberto. But actually, she's doing the messaging. So she takes that off my plate. And that's huge, let me tell you. Okay. Yeah, Tammy, I hear you. No, need one. Well, trust me, it is a game changer, Tammy. What else does she do? Okay, for example, she takes care of my calendar. So helps me set up the meetings, reminders, schedule, everything. I mean, she takes care of that, reminds me when I have a meeting, and keeps me on my toes and keeps me organized in that part, the meetings. But also, for example, right now, we are preparing something really cool in San Antonio. We're working with the Small Business Development Center, the SBDC, with the University of Texas San Antonio. And what they do is they help small businesses to grow, to expand. They have a huge network. A lot of small businesses work with them, and I do a lot of work with them. So we propose, why don't we do something called a brainstorm with the exporting small businesses? And they love the idea. And so we're gonna do like TEDx, like TED Talks. These are gonna be short 7-minute talks that are gonna be done by entrepreneurs who are exporting business owners for their peers, sharing great ideas or great things that happen. So we have to do the marketing. We're helping the SBDC because they are understaffed and overworked. So as partners, and you can see us there, Latam Doers is one. Like I said, I'm a partner for Texas. So what do we do here? Okay, in this case, we're helping them. Well, Celia is actually really helping them to set up the landing page, set up the registration page. She's even helping design all the posts that we're going to be doing for call for speakers, stuff like that. And they are just so grateful. So as you can tell, I mean, it's not just one thing. This is like so much help. It's unbelievable. Okay. So this is an example of what a virtual assistant can do for you. Now, of course, this is marketing because that was my need. There are other things that virtual assistants can do depending on your particular needs. But let's keep going and seeing some of the other characteristics of a virtual assistant. Okay. Yeah, sorry, I also forgot to mention this is I just went to an event, for example, and I got business cards. So what we did is take photos of the business card, send her to my assistant, and she takes the information and puts it all together in a little spreadsheet and sends it to me so I can follow up with everybody and catch. I put little notes, or we put little notes. In this case, Andres and another person from Latin Honduras was with me at the event, and we put little notes of conversations we had or anything, and then we get this kind of stuff. And again, she does all that work and then sends it to me just so I can do the really interesting work, the business development work of making the follow-up contact and talking to the people and seeing, if something had happened there. Okay. All right. So far so good. So as you can tell, there's a lot of stuff there. Okay, that a virtual assistant can do for you. All right. Now, a virtual assistant can be an independent contractor, but a virtual assistant can also be hired through a virtual assistant agency. Okay, now there are some benefits of doing it through an agency. You can also hire somebody directly, but it's a question of finding a person, screening, interviewing, and then you're hiring that person directly. So there's a lot more work to be done there. Or you can just do it through an agency, and they take care of the whole thing, and you just pay them for the service. Now, a BA can be part-time or it can be full-time. My particular virtual assistant is part-time. Yeah, believe it or not, she does all that part-time. A BA can be from the same country or they can be from other countries. Okay. And virtual assistants are not employees. That's another big benefit. So they're not employees, so you don't have to deal with payroll or any of that stuff. Anything to do with workforce taxes, anything like that. You just pay your fee, and that's it. Now, depending on how this is being paid, sometimes when it's paid to an independent contractor, it's a little more delicate. You have to be more careful not to create, a permanent working relationship in that sense. So there's a little bit more to take a look at, and but uh, in reality, usually when you do it, it's in most cases all the fees that you pay can be up to 100% tax deductible. Why? Because you're paying for a service. So there's a ton of benefits, as you can see. Okay. And now, so this is, you know, big picture a virtual assistant. Okay. Now, let's take a look at how to work and get the most value out of a virtual assistant. Uh, from personal experience, being a virtual assistant is, sorry, let me, sorry, it was just a quick message from an attendees try having a hard time joining us. But so the relationship with a virtual assistant is going to be with a very important relationship in your work environment. It's going to be very personal, almost daily, and this person is going to be an integrated part of your work. So it is a very important relationship. And because it is a very important relationship, we have to get ready to do it right. Okay? So whenever you're planning on that, doing it right requires certain steps that you have to take. Most of them are steps that you have to take. Okay, some of them will be steps that can be taken together with the agency, and some, of course, together with your virtual assistant once you have chosen a virtual assistant. And those steps are basically defining and selecting, being very clear, what do I need? Okay, what kind of support do I need? The other one is preparing for having a virtual assistant. Preparing is so important because otherwise, some people say, oh, it takes a lot of time to prepare. Yeah, but it takes way less time than actually having to go through a series of integration steps once you're working. A lot of stuff that happens during the once you start working with your BA and that you have to start integrating, you have to start talking about. It's way easier and much more efficient if you prepare beforehand. And we're going to take a look at each one of these steps, okay? The other one is onboarding and delegating. Super important. How do you onboard your brand new virtual assistant? How do you start working together? And how do you delegate? How do you delegate all those tasks to the virtual assistant? And finally, how do we start coordinating with our virtual assistant week to week? So it's defining and selecting, preparing, onboarding and delegating, and coordinating. Okay? So far, everybody okay? And remember, any questions you have, any comments, just let me know. So defining before starting the search. Now, before starting the search, it's super important to define the tasks, and with those tasks, the profile of your virtual assistant. Now, there are some essential tasks that almost any virtual assistant should be able to do. Why? Because they don't require very specific skills. The things like schedule management, managing your calendar, managing your meetings, managing your schedule, travel logistics. You have to go somewhere. We'll take a look at the air travel, accommodations there, food, or maybe even coordinating with the client if you're going to go on and work with a client on a project or something. Well, coordinating with HR, whoever the client coordinator person is, and coordinating travel logistics. Some very basic data entry, uh, things like capturing, names and information from business cards, things like that. Basic reporting when you have to create some reports, maybe travel reports for the client so you can get reimbursements, maybe other kinds of reports that you send out, project reports where you have very defined templates, and sometimes email management. Sometimes you will provide them with your email so they can manage your email. These are, like I said, and this, among others, are essential tasks that almost any virtual assistant should be able to do because they don't require specific technical skills. Having said that, from there are different roles and different profiles for virtual assistants. Let's say you really need help on the administrative side. Well, that's a very specific profile. Okay, and there it's about, for example, bookkeeping, invoicing, follow up on the invoice, file management, data entry, all that administrative stuff, plus others, right? I'm just sharing some examples. Or maybe, like myself, you need more help with the marketing side, content development, campaign management, social media management, or some basic market research, stuff like that. That's another profile. Okay, or maybe you need somebody to do sales support. We're not talking about selling, watch out. If you're going to hire somebody to sell, then we're talking about staffing, remote staffing, and that's hiring salespeople. That's a whole different thing. This is somebody who's going to help or provide support for the people who are doing the selling. So what is this? Prospect management. When people, when you have prospects, doing follow-up mails, seeing how they're doing, maybe sending out some predetermined surveys. How are you feeling? How are you doing? Prospect management in general. When there's a prospect coming, you know, and seeing the information of the prospect, getting back to the prospect, and then channeling the information of the prospect to the right person so that that person can follow up to do the actual sale. Customer support, and again, like I was saying, maybe sending out surveys, just keeping up or having a line where they get when customers are calling for issues or with questions, and they can get the information and then relate to the right person. That's something else. Or, for example, CRM data management, keeping up your CRM, or sales follow-up, supporting on the sales follow-up, or doing chat support if you have chats in your websites for people who are interested in the service, following up on the messages that you get from the chats. All this kind of stuff is sales support. Now, sales support is more front end. It's more dealing with the public, more dealing with the market. So, of course, the verbal skills and the public relation and people skills are a whole different level. Or project, somebody to help with projects if you do a lot of that. Like project management or event management. Events are projects. So what I want to be clear about is you have to take a look and say, what do I need? And this is very important because it's can be very complicated to try to find somebody who's administrative and marketing. These are very different skills, very different sets of experience and technical knowledge and all that. So usually you find a good administrative virtual assistant or good marketing or good sales, a good project, and but it's very difficult to find somebody who can do two or three of these things. It's not going to be very possible. It's just like when you're hiring people. You're not expecting somebody who is a good accountant or good at accounting and all that to also be good at marketing or sales. It's almost contradictions. So you have to be super clear. What do I need? What exactly is it that I need to get off my plate so I can really focus on making my business grow? Because that's the key here. Okay, it's what do I need to get off my plate from the tasks that are essential, that I need to do day to day, that are super important to keeping the business going, but they are not essential and they don't help grow the business. Okay, and that's where you can take that off your plate, as I said, and then you can focus on really growing your business. In my case, it was marketing. I do a lot of that. And I can tell you when I started working with virtual assistant, she freed up like about almost 3, 4 hours of my time daily, okay, which is amazing. So that's number one. But number two, and a lot of people, yeah, they'll think about this, but then they don't think about this on the next day, which is super important. Is okay, let's say I do that, bring in my virtual assistant, delegate, and suddenly I get all this free time. What am I going to do with that free time? Okay, don't wait until you have your virtual assistant, you start having all this free time. No, think about it from before you bring in your virtual assistant, before you even start your search. What are you going to do with that time? Because here's where the value comes, and here's where the return on investment comes. The idea is I get free of all that stuff so I can focus on things that are going to grow the business or increase the value. So be very intentional. Think, okay, once I'm free of all this, what am I going to do? You're the one that has to decide that. And then make a list of what you're going to do. Okay. And then make a plan. In my case, I knew I could use that time to make more direct phone calls to prospects, to people that I know. But not only that, to also generate more webinars where I can sit down and do this kind of stuff. Or, for example, go to events more often, get there early and go to more events, maybe almost daily. So Those are the things that are going to help my business grow. So I did make a game plan before that, saying, how am I going to make that? How am I going to use that time? And then also set up your benchmarks. Okay, if I dedicate all this time to these activities, what kind of impact, what kind of benefits do I need to start seeing? Maybe it's growth in clients, maybe it's more client retention, maybe it's other things, depending on why, what you need to accomplish and why you're bringing that help. Okay, maybe some people will say, well, the value is going to be to have more time for myself, more time for my family, to have more balance. It is very valid. If your business is growing and you're having a good business and good income, but you don't have time for your personal life, then it can be a great help to get more, to get a better, work and social life business balance. So this is the next very important step, defining first what do you need, what kind of profile, and then defining the value, or the value that you're going to get. What are you going to dedicate the time to? Okay, so far so good. Everybody with me? Very important. Okay, now let's go into preparing. So this is before you starting to work with your VA. Once you have the profile, either you can do the search or you can go to an agency and you start the search. You're going to start looking at possible candidates and doing all that. But okay, it is also important to have more detail. If you're already going to do it, you're going to bring somebody else on board, then you need to be even more specific. You need to say, okay, like for example, we say marketing, content development, campaign management, social media management. Okay, fine. Those are like the big picture things. But if you're really going to be working effectively with a virtual assistant, you gotta you gotta be more specific on the tasks. You gotta say, social media management, what is that going to look like? So you sit down and you make a list of everything you are doing right now on social media that you want that person to, on social media management, that you want to delegate. For example, in my case, LinkedIn, post consistently, post almost every day or every day, you know, send all the congratulations messages, congratulations on or happy birthday, congratulations on a new job, whatever, reacting to notifications. Okay, somebody says, thank you, Alberto, or somebody says, happy birthday, Alberto, and then you answer, thank you very much, all that thing, reacting to also notifications. Somebody mentioned me in a post, we'll go into that post and saying thank you or making the message, sending requests to connect, why? To continue expanding the network, and communicating must address messages. What does that mean? And that's something that we agreed in the beginning. Must address messages like, okay, this is somebody that is asking me because it's like calling, sending a message to Alberto. Somebody's asking me if they can have a meeting to talk about the services. Okay, and that's a must address. That's immediately I get a message. You have a message on LinkedIn talking about this. Please check it out and answer. That is so she takes care of making sure that any message that like that requires my immediate attention, she communicates that so I can jump in there and do it. On Instagram, post consistently, hashtag effectively, share content, and also cross post and promote. Some post in LinkedIn can also go to Instagram and vice versa. So you have to, if you notice, the next step is saying, okay, I want social media management. So you have to bring it down to specific tasks. Why? Because whenever you start working and delegating to your virtual assistant, this is going to be incredibly helpful because then the virtual assistant can know exactly what does this mean? What does social media management mean to you? And what are you expecting in the specific tasks? Okay. And again, it's not that complicated. Just sit down and make a list of what you're doing, all the tasks you're doing that you want to delegate, but make a list. Okay, so what does that look like? Very important. So you're ready with detailed, specific tasks for each of those big areas. Maybe campaign content development. Okay, I want you to be able to develop content for campaigns, for daily posts, for all that. What does that look like? And maybe I need you to develop content for, in my cases, LinkedIn, Instagram. So, okay. Now, Preparing also task periods and outcomes. Two very important things. Now that you have your list of tasks, okay, take a look and say which of those tasks are done daily, which are done weekly, which should be done once a month or monthly. Not all the tasks are done every day. So it's important to be clear, separate. Okay, these are daily tasks. These are like once a week, or these are like once a month. And also, if you say I want posts, I want messaging, all that. What are the weekly or monthly outcomes that you're expecting? Okay, they have to be tangible. Like saying, okay, I want my network to be growing by 10 people or 20 people per month or per week. I want to have that target. I want to be able to have some X number of hits on my posts as we go. Or maybe in the case of registrations and stuff like that, we're looking to target and get so many people registered to the event. Okay. So, and also some other benchmarks, like saying, I want to have 100% of people who are celebrating or something to get a message from me every day. So that's something done. I don't want to see somebody that LinkedIn told me they're celebrating this and didn't get a message. So it's important to set the general outcomes of the tasks, and they have to be tangible. They have to be something that people that you and your BA can quantify, and timeframes. This is what has had to happen by when. Okay, so these are very important things. Okay, and by the way, let me just share something else that we created. Okay, and that is helpful. It's what is called a job outcome map. And for example, we have it right here. Here it is. This is the job outcome map created for my VA. And this is where I really did all the work. I said, okay, so what do I need? And daily link list, daily scheduling, travel coordination as needed, expected job outcomes. And now here, I added a couple of KPIs, like for example, number of scheduling conflicts or omissions for the week, okay, number of issues or on travel logistics, travel budget efficiency, because she helps me with my travel. So how efficient is travel being booked? Are we getting the best flight discounts, the best hotel rates, all that stuff? And of course, number of percentage of actual versus expected monthly growth of LinkedIn network, all this stuff. So this job outcome map is amazingly helpful to fill out before you get a virtual assistant. At the end of the session, I'll share contact information with you all, and I can send you this one even like this, so you can have a clear example. But this is incredibly helpful because you can put this here. Everything that we mentioned can go right here, okay, in one single one pager, and it's really valuable for you and incredibly valuable for your BA when the BA comes on board, because you just give them this, you go over it, you take a look at it. It's super helpful. Okay. So far, any questions about this? Any comments? Nothing? So we're good? All right. Let's keep going. Now let's talk about onboarding. And onboarding your virtual assistant, of course, is incredibly important. That first step. Let's say you've gone through the whole process, and the virtual assistant BA agency got you like 3 or 4 candidates. You interview the candidates, you choose the one that has the best fit, and you start, and you get together for day one. Okay, and you go onboarding. Now, for an effective onboarding, which is part of kind of preparation onboarding, create templates from your daily work. For example, you say, I want you to do all the posts for happy birthday and congratulations and all that every week. So what I did, and again, it's part of preparation, but it spills out into onboarding. It's all like part of the process. So what you should do is, because you're already doing those posts. So the idea is create templates from your daily work. Take a Word doc or a spreadsheet or something and write down. For example, I have a great network in Latin America also. So I do a lot of postings and congratulations and messages in Spanish and in English. So I took, for example, a typical happy birthday that I do in Spanish, and I wrote happy birthday. So this is the usual happy birthday in Spanish. But now here in English, happy birthday, Michelle, wishing you have a wonderful celebration and the next 12 months are full of blessings. That's how I usually send my birthday wishes during the weekdays. But if it's a Monday, then I say happy birthday. Trust you had a great celebration over the weekend and all the way to today. And may the next 12 months be full of blessings. But I also, when it's a weekend, I send a different kind of message. I'm saying happy birthday, Meg. I hope you have a weekend of wonderful celebration. Okay. So, or if I missed it and it was on a weekend and I couldn't do it one day late, better late. Happy birthday, Brooke. I hope you are having a weekend of wonderful celebration. Okay. So if you notice, what I did is take messages I already have been writing with my style, and I do like a little portfolio, like templates, and I put them on a document. And then when I started working with my VA, I just said, look, this is the way I do it. These are the messages I use. And the same can be said if you're going to be working with somebody to help on sales support and they have to answer calls from prospects or messages on chats and the website from prospects. Okay, take a look at how you usually answer them. Okay, and you can even record them. You can record how you answer somebody in those cases if it's a phone call, or how you answer if it's the chat. Just make those templates. You already have them. You have them because you're writing them every day. You're calling and you're receiving the calls every day. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just take what you're already doing it and use it as templates. Okay. Okay, so this is super important because this is going to help tremendously. Okay, this is going to help. This is really going to help you sorry, we have somebody else coming in. This is really going to help you to accelerate how the person integrates into your way of doing things. Because in the end, it's about people in social media and in marketing or in admin or in sales to not feel a difference, to feel that this is like your team, same style, same focus. So do that. Okay. And again, you can also record if it's going to be something verbal. Okay. So this is the way we say it. Here's a recording. Go over it. Study it. That's the way we should do it. Now, if it's a more complex task, like following up on a series of steps with prospects, or the way we manage reporting to clients, well, in those cases, you need templates again. This is how we do the report, but write a little standard operating procedure. Step one, step two, step three, step four. It is super important. Okay, you're gonna spend that time writing the standard operating some of your subs, but it's time you're gonna spend only once, and not only that, you're gonna have a more formalized business environment. This is gonna help your business also. But at the same time, you're going to save up on all the time you're going to have to spend anyway if you don't do this, correcting and correcting and correcting until your virtual assistant gets it. Okay, so this is way easier. So this is the other part of preparing how the person should be doing that stuff. Okay, and again, you have the templates. Just take them from how you do it every day. All right. Now the other thing is daily work schedule. when are we you when do you expect your VA to work? Let's say it's full time, then fine. It's a normal daily work schedule. But a lot of times you will have a VA that's going to work like 4 hours or part time. My VA is part time, like I mentioned. So you have to agree and you have to set the schedule. In this case, with my VA, the schedule is from 9 to noon, 3 hours per day. Sometimes it will go a little 3 4 hours. So 9 to noon, 1 p.m. So what does that do? Okay, so we have that schedule and we're both very respectful of that schedule. We know that's when work is going to be happening. Okay. Then the coordination schedule. How often are we going to meet? If we need to coordinate something, are we going to meet? In my case, we meet every Friday, 11:30 morning, There's an agenda, very little agenda, just how we're going to be talking about the different issues. So do a coordination schedule. How often are you going to meet to coordinate? Or something else very important, if we need to coordinate a special, something special that came up, okay, how is that going to be done? Okay, in my case, when we need to coordinate something, my VA sends me a note and says, Alberto, this is happening, let's say with the SBDC. I just met with the people in charge and we're talking about the image and all this. We need to coordinate. So I said, okay, she manages my schedule, so that saves up a lot of time. So yeah, I said, okay, set up the meeting today or tomorrow. So we set up the meeting, we come together, but there's an agreement, okay? And performance KPIs. How are we going to measure that performance? How are we going to take a look at that? Okay, I just show you some KPIs that you can write at the bottom of the standard operating the job outcomes map. And again, I can send you that gladly. We can share that with you, and it'll give you a clear idea of how to fill out one of those things for your own BA. Okay, so those are the other things to prepare the work model, daily work schedule, coordination schedule, and your key performance indicators. How is that your virtual assistant going to be evaluating his or her own performance? It's not about you evaluating their performances, giving them tools so they can evaluate their performance and see how things are going. Okay. All right. Now, onboarding day one. You sit down. Okay. So you go over the deliverables and specifics for each of the tasks. You say, these are the tasks. This is the most important meeting, most important session you're going to have with your BA, because this is where you tell your BA, this is what was going to happen. This is how we should do it. Okay. So you go over the deliverables and the specifics of each of the tasks that you need that person to do. Okay. And that's when you provide them, here are the templates. Here's the Word doc with the way I send those messages. Here's a recording with how I answered those things. Here is a report of how we do the reporting to clients on expenses. Here's this, whatever are the templates for each of the specific tasks that you have prepared and that are ready. Trust me, this is going to create such a short integration cycle from your BA. It's going to help, get your BA to be almost like you, part of you or your team or your style in just days, because they're going to have it right there, formal, okay? And they can go back and over until it's part of how they now are doing it, okay? Go over the work model, agree on the schedules, agree on the times. Very important. Agree on how to use the different means of communications. My BA works from Mexico, okay? So outside of the United States, people use WhatsApp a lot. Here in the States, we don't use it so much. We use more text messaging and emails and phone calls. But in Latin America and Europe and Africa and Asia, people use WhatsApp almost for everything. So you need to say, okay, so when are we going to use email? What are we going to use email for? Like for sending large files, for sending stuff that I'm going to need to work on the computer. For example, those carousels of the weekly post that you saw, she sends me those on email, because then I can open up at my big screen here on the computer and I can look at them and send my feedback before the coordination meeting. But sometimes when it's just a quick message about something that's happening, hey, you got a message on LinkedIn that you have to take a look at. Please take a look at it. Then she sends me a WhatsApp message. It can also be a text message. When is a phone call needed? Sometimes something comes up and you need to 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 talk about it, to fine tune and say, okay, we need to have another meeting, or this person called me about this. Sometimes I will make a phone call or a WhatsApp phone call and we'll discuss things. But be very intentional. Say, okay, look, I expect us to use email for this, and for sudden things or important notices, send me a text message, send me a WhatsApp message. And for really urgent stuff that can't wait and you need to make sure you then give me a phone call, or I can give you a call. Okay. And we're going to sit down every week and we're going to go through all this. Okay. We're going to do this. This is going to happen weekly. This is going to happen monthly. This is going to happen daily. And we need to take a look at all this. So this is day one onboarding. You're equipping, you're clarifying expectations. The task, specific tasks, the deliverables, the templates to support, hit the ground running. Here are the templates, go and do it, and go over the work model, okay, how the schedule, all that stuff, the different means of communication, and the expected weekly result review. When are we going to have it? How is that going to happen? This is very important to do. And the first week, can even be 2 weeks, 3 weeks of working with your BA, shadow the main tasks. Sometimes, I mean, in my case, with my virtual assistant, the first 2 days, we went together on LinkedIn and I started typing and looking at doing my routine on LinkedIn. And she was there watching and seeing how I did it, and what I did, and how did I post, and in what order I did things. Okay, first I answer all the messages and the congratulations. Then I take a look at the communications of somebody mentioned you, whatever. I go and say thank you for mentioning me, or congratulations on this event. I hope it goes well, or whatever the warning was, or the notice. So we did that for I think it was 3 days, where she was right there with me. I was doing it, and the same for other tasks. I was doing it. She was there listening. She was there looking at how I did it. She already had the templates, and then she started doing it for 2 days, and I was watching, seeing how she did it. So this is important, shadowing the main task. First, you see how I do it, and then I'm going to be there with you 1 or 2 days and see how you do it. Once you've seen how I did it and you got your templates, okay. And once the person's really doing it the way you expected them to do it, because the way you do it, then let them go. Okay? And they can continue with that. Now, whenever you see that there's something that didn't go the way you expected, a message that didn't quite hit the spot, then model it. Say, this didn't happen. I would have done it like this. And also, always be open to feedback from your BA about process. A lot of us, especially if we're entrepreneurs or serial entrepreneurs, or solopreneurs, we're used to doing it our way, and we're kind of sometimes a little closed about doing it different, in a different way. Be open. You're bringing in a skilled professional. You're bringing somebody who has skills. My assistant, her last job was in a marketing agency. Has all the marketing background. So be open to feedback. Be open to, hey, have you thought about doing it this way instead of that way? Be open. That having a VA who is an experienced professional, experiencing whatever you're bringing them to do, is also a great resource to learn from somebody else, to learn from somebody else that has a different kind of experience and bring different perspectives. So be super open to feedback as that person starts seeing how you do things for that first couple of weeks, week 1, week 2. Be open. You can even ask for it. Hey, this is the way I do it. You've been doing it. What do you think? Can it be done better? Can it be done differently? So be open to that kind of stuff. Super important. And for daily coordination, daily collaboration. Okay, so the weekly coordination meetings should be based on KPIs and objectives. What were the objectives for the week? These are the 5 or 6 KPIs that we're following. And you close the week and say, okay, these were the objectives. Did we achieve those objectives? And we have a great tool for that. It's called the Objectives Management Matrix that I can share with you all, of course, also. And it's all based on outcomes. What are the outcomes expected for the week? What are the results expected for the week? And you do it weekly. Start of the week, my PA sets her objectives and her outcomes, sends them to me. I just look them over. We're good, okay. And then at the end of the week, in our weekly coordination meeting, we just go over and see if everything went according to schedule or not. Okay. Then mutual feedback. Like I said, yeah, you can provide feedback, but also be super open to getting feedback. And again, as entrepreneurs, sometimes we don't get enough of that feedback. Be open to that. If you need to, if you see that your VA needs to adjust the way they're doing things, don't just tell them. Okay, that's one of the biggest mistakes I see. People just tell them, "Oh, don't do it like this. Do it like this," and that's it. Telling is the worst way of coaching and helping somebody get to where you need them to be. So don't tell them. Show them again. model the thing. Don't do it like that. Do it like this. Okay. But the same, be open to for them to show you different ways of doing things. And finally, don't just show, don't tell, show. And once you've shown, if needed, write it down or have your VA write it down, send it to you so you see how your VA wrote it down. And now you have it in writing. It's formalized. Okay, the more you have this kind of templates and standard operating procedures and fundamentals, the better your business is going to be, because as your business grows, you're going to use that for other people you're bringing on board. Maybe you're going to get another VA down the road, or more teammates or somebody else to help you with other stuff. Well, you have all that in there. So it's, trust me, it's time very well spent. Okay, and the last thing to close, you're bringing in a professional, somebody who's going to be helping you grow your business, going to take the load off. So there's always the element of respect, mutual respect. Be respectful. Doesn't matter if this person is from Mexico, India, Singapore. They're there. They're professionals. They are people. They got their lives. They got their own way of looking at things, their own needs, their own challenges. And in the end, we're all people, so it's mutual respect. Always be respectful. Be respectful of the person, be respectful in communicating, be respectful also of their lives. I've seen it. I've seen people who get a part-time virtual assistant and they work for like from 9 to 1 p.m. But then they keep sending messages after 1 p.m. or expecting the VA to answer messages after 1 p.m. or respond to LinkedIn things or to social media, or to, if it's administrative, to clients' requests for information after 1 p.m. And they expect it to go like, oh, it's this one time or it's just this other time. Yeah, but it piles up. Respect the schedules. Also, because some VAs that work part-time actually working with two clients. So it's part-time with one and the other. Why? Because people need to put food on the table and pay the rent. So they might be working with another client. So it's even more important to be respectful of that. Okay? Always be mindful and be respectful. Lots of communication. Be super open with communication. Always be open to communicate and to receive that communication on how things are being done, what's happening, how to do things better. Always with respect. And again, balance, work-life balance. Be respectful of that. In the end, you're getting a lot of value from that person, but you should also provide value to that person in the relationship and, of course, the income. But at the same time, you're also helping that person grow. If they're doing a good job with you, they are learning about your business. They are learning about how you do things. It's more skills that they are developing and fine tuning. So it's a mutual value. Okay. And that's in the end what this is all about. You give and receive value to each other. Okay. So I just want to leave you with Latin Doers. Latin Doers is we do virtual assistants, and it's a very unique process. As a matter of fact, I got to see their process. I love their process so much that I became their lead partner for Texas and other places. And the service they offer is outstanding. If you go to their website, either latandoers.com. This is my particular website as head of Texas, is ladctx.com. This is my name. This is Alberto Latandours. And in case you would like to have a meeting to talk more about getting a virtual assistant or the benefits, or learning more about the process from Latandours, guess what? You can either contact me, or you can contact my virtual assistant at support@insync.com, and she'll be more than happy to set up a schedule. Okay, I always prefer if you contact her so she can set up a meeting, because that way I don't mess up the calendar. Okay, because otherwise she goes like, well, Alberto, why did you schedule without letting me know? Come on. Okay. Having said all this, I'd like to dedicate the last minutes to Q&A and seeing if you have any questions. By the way, this will be available to you. The recording of the session will be available to you, and all of you who registered, will send you the link so you can take a look at it again and and refresh your memory of the things you should be doing. Okay.